Welcome to the Augusta Richmond County Commission. Madam Clerk, before I call this meeting to order, seeing as how we're going to have to go to...
No, you got to call it.
I'll tell you what. Let me just take a point of privilege and welcome our Sheriff-elect, Mr. Eugene Gino Brantley. Welcome, sir. Thank you for being here. Madam Clerk, I call this meeting to order, and I'm going to turn it over to Attorney Brown.
Mayor and Commissioners will request a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending or potential litigation.
So moved.
That was Ms. McKnight and Mr. Johnson.
All right, Madam Clerk, there's a motion and a second. We're voting, and while we're voting, I want to also acknowledge the Commissioner-elect for District 7, Tina Slindak, even though she comes to these meetings often. Welcome, madam. How are you? Is he out there too? Oh, there he is. Commissioner-elect for District 5, Mr. Don D.C. Clark. Welcome, sir.
Mr. Bobby Williams. Do it again. Okay. Please. Okay. That motion carries with Mr. Franum out.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're now suspended to executive session. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't anticipate us being there long, so it shouldn't be very long. Thank you all so much for your patience. I'm waiting on the administrator to get here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have. All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your patience. Madam Clerk, I'll call this meeting back to order. Attorney Brown.
Your mic, sir. Your mic, sir.
We will request a motion, Mayor Johnson and Commissioners, to execute the closed meeting affidavit.
So moved. Second.
All right. There's a
Mr.
motion.
Garrett and
Mr. Johnson.
Johnson.
Yep. All right, and we're voting, Madam Clerk.
That motion carries with Mr. Bobby Williams, Mr. Mason, and Mr. Franum out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Attorney Brown, are there any motions as a result of our closed session?
No, sir.
If there are none, I now close out this executive session. Madam Clerk, I'll call the regularly scheduled commission meeting to order.
Back to order, sir.
Back to order. Back to order.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Back to order.
Okay. At this,
God bless you.
41. Is Mr. Franum? You gonna get him?
All right, let's get
Is he on?
Commissioner Franum. You may have to.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Let's get Mr. Franum back on. Yeah. I got it.
This one. I don't know, man.
All right, Commissioner Franum, we're now in public meeting. Okay, thank you.
All right. Madam Clerk, the floor is yours. ma'am.
Okay. Call your attention to the invocation portion of our agenda, which will be shared with us today by Reverend Vivian T. Hambrick, pastor of the Live River Baptist Church, after which we'd have our Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand?
Good afternoon. And to Mr. Mayor and the Commission, thank you for this privilege and this opportunity. Let us pray. Oh God, you have shown us what is good. And what do you require of us? That we act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly before our God. Oh God, your word teaches us, unless you watch over the city, the guards stand watch in vain. Now, God, I pray that your presence will ever be upon the city of Augusta, so that our labor will not be in vain. Abide within the chambers of this room, where the well-being of this city is in the hands of leaders selected to serve your people. Heavenly Father, rest within the mind and the heart of each commissioner and our mayor. Let the spirit of unity dwell among us as you, O God, desire oneness for the better good of all people. Let us, as leaders, be reminded that serving the people of the city, we are serving you. And now let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. O Lord, you are my strength, our strength. You are my Redeemer. And the people of God said, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Ms. Joyce, would you lead us to the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anytime, my honor.
Reverend Hamburg, would you please stand? Thank you. Huh. Oh. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so very much for that prayer of encouragement. It's always good to be encouraged to do a little better. And I hope that God heard our prayers today, which I'm sure he did, that we could take it to heart. Thank you for the community.
Amen.
By these presents be it known that Reverend Vivian T. Hambrick, pastor of the Live River Baptist Church, is the chaplain of the day. May your spiritual guidance and civic leadership serve as an example for all citizens of Augusta. Given under my hand this 27th day of June, 2024, Garnett L. Johnson, Mayor. Thank you. And for your patience today.
Amen. You're welcome.
Reverend Hambrick, thank you so much for being here and that much needed prayer. Thank you so much. You got it. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. At this time, I call your attention to our delegations. Item A, Mr. Moses Todd, I Love Augusta, discuss SPLOST 9 city-owned cemeteries, capital needs.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Todd, thank you so much for being here, sir. If you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
Moses Todd, 2747 Deansbridge Road, Augusta, Georgia. And today I'm here representing the City Citizens Cemetery Committee. I have with me I call Lieutenant Colonel Joyce Law, retired, and Miss Thomasina Deere is a friend of Magnolia, and you know, we invited the committee to be here, and some of them having to do double duty at their entity. Mr. Eric Montgomery is shorthanded by a couple of folks, and he couldn't be here. Mr. Roy Sinkins, he could not be here, chairman of the tree committee. And what we want to do is to educate, hopefully, the commission some on the goals of Magnolia Cedar Rose, especially, and to not leave out Westview. So we'll start by saying, you know, approximately 6 years ago, former Commissioner Jerry Brigham called me and requested that I step in to chair a citizens city-owned cemetery committee and do the bicentennial for Magnolia and Cedar Road. At that time, we, you know, made some requests, you know, for the special purpose local option sales tax 8, and was able to get $600,000 in it. $200,000 per cemetery. We knew at that time that wasn't enough to take care of our goals for what we wanted to accomplish when we opened the time capsules that we planted in 2018. So 2043 will be the 25 year, and we decided to open ever 25 years. So hopefully some of us will be around, you know, and, you know, and that it would help us also as far as meeting our goals. And our funding source is, as you know, is special purpose local option sales tax 8 and 9. There were some ADA money in 7 that, you know, that come through recreation. So before I go any further, I'm going to ask Ms. Law to step up. You know, she's kind of the historian on all of this, but we need approximately, at a minimum of $6.5 million for capital outlay for Magnolia, Cedar Grove, and Westview. And this will help us meet the goals of redoing the roads, taking care of the situation as far as draining in the cemetery, roofs on the 3 buildings, and it's my understanding that Warden Joseph possibly had requested $10 million. So I'm sure that the committee didn't put anything in the capital budget for vans for hauling the inmates to do the grass cutting in the cemeteries and the ground maintenance in the cemetery. So I'm sure that the $10 million, covers that also. I don't think Warden Joseph is here. So that give you a little education and a little background. And I'd be remiss if I didn't commend the Warden Joseph and the inmates for the service level improvement from last year this time to this year this time in Magnolia and Cedar Grove. Ms. Law, you have anything?
How much?
We got 1 minute.
1 minute.
Yes.
Okay. So, Lieutenant Colonel retired Joyce Law. So I'm the curator at Somerville Fitton Street Cemetery.
I just need you to add your address to that, please.
Oh, thank you. 560 Martin Lane, Augusta 30909.
Thank you.
So Somerville Fitton Street Cemetery, which is in Sand Hills Historic District, has a memorandum of understanding for general limited maintenance. So it's also considered part of the city-owned cemetery roster, in addition to a small cemetery on Cemetery Road that is in South Augusta. And so really the realm of taking care of the cemeteries is beyond Westview, Cedar Grove, and then Magnolia. And so right now, a big push is we were very fortunate that there was $10 million that came in through Parks and Recreation, $2.2 million for the rehabilitation of May Park, Cedar Grove, and Magnolia Cemetery to connect from Cedar Grove to May Park, biking and walking trails. But there's a great deal of maintenance for infrastructure that has to happen first before those walking and biking trails go in. So we really appreciate any consideration that can be given for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'm also going to make a recommendation that the City County Commission relook at having its own committee and maybe fold this committee and appoint members from each district. I think that we have a responsibility to our dead to do that. And at some point during consolidation, it seems that the responsibility as far as the mayor's office and the commission in a previous commission got dropped, and we need to bring it back. And I think that it showed the citizens a level of seriousness when it's not just a ad hoc group trying to do it. That is the committee have the backing of the city government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. Just stand tight for a second. We got a commissioner that's in the queue, but I just want to say that we have a rich history in the city, and there's a lot of well-noted Augustans and people that were responsible for the city being what it is that's buried at both those cemeteries. So preserving that history should be a very important goal for not only this body, but for the community. Chair recognizes Commissioner Jordan Johnson from the first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Todd, great to see you. Thank you for being here, sir. I can appreciate you speaking up for Cedar Grove Cemetery. Of course, all the other cemeteries are just as important, but I know that during the last big rain we had, I don't know if it was this last one or a few before, but down at Cedar Grove, the flooding was pretty bad, so much so that a grave opened. So my question to you is, I know you mentioned the $6.5 million for everything, right? But do you have an idea of what your request would be specifically for drainage at some of these cemeteries? I know you mentioned roads being paved. That would help at Cedar Grove a lot too, but specifically for the drainage, we've seen, like I said, those graves open, and it's just really hard for families to get over to their plots because of that. Is there an idea? And secondly, have you had an opportunity to submit a request for this SPLOST package?
I don't know where I went through the proper channels or not, but we did make a request or send an email into the administrator's office. And my thoughts was, dividing it 1/3, 1/3. Now, Cedar Groves and Magnolia have the greatest need, and then Westview. So we don't want to neglect Westview, but they have less need because they're not as old. Cedar Groves and Magnolia is 1818, and I don't have them top of my head right now. The Westview, but it's the needs are not as great.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Topography is different.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Seeing no other colleagues in the queue, former Commissioner Todd, thank you so much for being here, sir. Thank you for the information. Madam Clerk, let's continue. I think that takes us to the.
Our consent agenda.
Yeah, let's handle these addendum items
Item
first.
one.
I think we don't have a quorum. We got to wait for Commissioner Scott to come back. And okay, we got two that were out, so they're back now. All right, you want to move to the addendum items first?
Yes, sir. Do we have consent to add it?
Is there
to
any
the agenda?
objections to either one of these addendum items being added? Madam Clerk, you think for the record we need to read them in? Or
Sir?
so we have an objection to one or two or both?
I would like to send the first one back to committee if that's possible and get a larger version.
You need to speak into your mic if you don't mind. So
Sorry about that, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Under agenda number 1, changing the ordinance, I was wondering if Ms. Johnson would be kind enough to send all the commissioners the red line version, but in a larger font. I cannot read it. And it goes back to committee.
All right. So there's an objection to 1 and 2. So
Okay.
there's an objection, so we need to move
Question on number 2.
Yes, sir. Chair recognizes Commissioner George Johnson on the first.
Thank you, sir. I understand there's an objection, but I want to just get clarity here. Being that the 4th of July weekend is next week, if we push this back, then that means typically that there would be no mental health day, correct?
Right.
Okay. May I ask an explanation on the objection? Is that in order? I know that typically objections to me we can't discuss, but I think we owe it to our employees on this one, but I'm willing to.
Oh, absolutely. Can I respond, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir, you may.
First, I knew about it when I got up here on the floor. It was handed to me. There was no prior discussions, and I just can't move like that. Come next year, we're going to do the same thing. The following year, we're going to do the same thing. If that's going to happen, you might as well make it a holiday for two days.
Well, okay, I'm not sure how much we can discuss it, being that that item hasn't been added to the agenda.
We cannot. I'm seeing the attorney nod that we cannot. Attorney Brown, can you?
No, we cannot. The item has to be on the agenda to discuss it, and the only proper discussion at this time is whether to add or not add.
Thank you, sir.
May I ask my colleague from the 10 to at least allow a conversation today and just take a vote from there? All right, he says no. All right, well, we tried.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Scott, you in the queue, madam.
Attorney Brown, can I just make a comment on the one that was not, was pulled and can't be discussed? Can I just make for the record, that we've been working on this for almost 2 years now, and here we go again, taking it off and not bringing it to the floor. I just wanted for record that make sure that we put this on the next committee cycle, and whatever my colleague, Mr. Gifford, make sure Ms. Johnson, interim administrator, make sure the request is granted that he would like to have a larger font. But I want to discuss this. This is very important to the people and the small business owners in Augusta, Georgia.
Thank you, madam. Just for note, can you make sure you specify you're referring to item 1? Item 1 to the addendum.
Sorry about that. Yes, this is.
Okay.
item 1 of the amendment.
Addendum item, okay. All right, Madam Clerk, let's continue.
Okay. That would take us to our consent agenda, which consists of item 1.
Okay. All right, colleagues, let's go. Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to add to the consent agenda items 13, 14, 15, 16. I have a question on 17. I'd like to add 18 and 20.
Thank you, Commissioner Garrett. Chair recognizes Commissioner McKnight from the 3rd.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to add to the consent agenda items number 25, 26, 27, 29, and 30.
All right. Any other colleagues?
I have a question on 25. I just want to hear a little bit about that one.
All right, 25, so we're going to remove 25, Madam Clerk. Keep that off the consent. All right, any other colleague, any other questions before we entertain a motion to receive? Commissioner Garrett?
Yes, and also I would like to add item number 8 and 22 as well.
22. All right, all noted.
You want to ask Mr. Frandom if he wants to? Mr. Frandom, are you wanting to add?
Can we add agenda item number 6?
To consent.
Number 6 to consent. Okay.
6. All right. All right. Commissioner Guilfoyle, I see you in the queue, sir. You have the floor.
Yes, sir. Money is already spent. Agenda item, consent agenda item number 8, number 9, number 10, 11, emergency service department needs a generator.
What did you say, item number 11, too?
Fuel pump. Agenda item number 11.
Number 11,
And agenda item number 12.
12.
I have a question on 9.
All right.
No problem.
Commissioner from the
Who was
4th
that,
has a
George?
question on 9, so we're removing 9.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Commissioner Catherine Smith McKnight, the floor is yours. ma'am.
Yes, I'd also like to go ahead and add to the consent item number 21.
All right, item number 21. All right. Commissioner Garrett,
Motion to approve as stated.
there's a motion.
Second.
And there's a second from Commissioner McKnight from the 3rd. Madam Clerk, we are voting.
Mr. Johnson, if you would, please. Okay. Okay, that's it, Mr. Mr. Frandom,
Yes, ma'am, a yes vote.
okay.
Thank you.
That motion carries with Mr. Mason and Bobby Williams out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's go from top to bottom, please.
Okay. You ready, Mr. Kemper?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon. I have 4 alcohol licenses. The first one is AN 24-26. This is an existing location with a new ownership. It's a retail package for beer and wine. Sharad Patel is the applicant. The name of the business is In-N-Out Market and is located at 1902 Windsor Springs Road. The existing business is a Lucky Lotto. Planning and Development and Sheriff's Office has recommended approval.
All right.
Are there any objectors?
Any objectors to this matter? Seeing none noted, let's continue, sir.
All right,
Mr.
the
Petitioner.
applicants here.
No matter. Come up, sir. For the record, please state your name and address.
Chirag Patel, 4415 Huron Drive, Cumming, Georgia.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion for the approval of this item, please? All right, there's a motion. Is there a second? All right, motion in the second. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
Ms. Franham, how are you voting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. That motion carries 8-0.
Next is AN 24-27. This is a new location for retail packaged beer and wine. Ms. Patel is the applicant. They will be doing business as YP Mini Mart, and the property is located at 2517 Milledgeville Road. Planning and Development and Sheriff's Office has recommended approval. Are there any objectors to the application?
Any objectors? Seeing none, let's continue.
Applicants here?
Madam, for the record, please state your name and address.
My name is Bhavika Ben Patel, and address is 1141 McIntyre Circle, Greensboro, Georgia 30642.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Chair recognizes Commissioner from the first, Commissioner Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, sir. I just have a question about this location. Do you all have a plan in place for security to prevent loitering and things like that from happening outside of this package store? Is there a plan for security in place for this particular location?
Question?
Yes.
Security? Okay.
Can I answer?
Give your name and address.
Mukesh Patel, 1141 McIntyre Circle, Greensboro, Georgia.
Thank you, sir.
We haven't opened the store yet, but if we need to
If you don't mind, pull that mic a little closer for the record. There you go. Pull the mic a little closer.
So we are not open for the business yet, but if we require to, or if needed to hire security, we will be able to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I would suggest it. That area is pretty known for this specific storefront. Has had some issues, right? So I would just suggest that you factor that into your plan as well.
Okay.
Okay. And if the commissioner, the city can help in any way with that, just let us know.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion in a second. Seeing no one else in the queue, Madam Clerk, we're voting.
Mr. Franham?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. That motion carries.
All right. Next is AN 24-28. This is an existing location with new ownership. It's retail packaged liquor, beer, and wine. Kamal Kumar is the applicant. The company is Tall Boys LLC. The property is located at 3973 Wrightsboro Road. The existing business is the Bel Air Package. Planning and Development and Sheriff's Office has recommended approval. Are there any objectors to the application?
Any objectors in the audience? Seeing none noted, I do see one objector. Okay. All right. Madam, for the record, need your name and address, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Jeter. I'm at 4102 Elders Drive, Augusta, Georgia. We have enough liquor stores. Why do we keep approving all these liquor stores in Richmond County? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Especially now they're circling where we actually live. I mean, I know that development is development, but can it be smart development? I just think that we have enough liquor stores. I believe that Richmond County is saturated with liquor stores, and now they're coming to our community. So I just hope that you would deny this petition.
Ma'am, certainly noted. Assistant Director Kepner, is there a petitioner here?
Yeah, the applicant's here. Yes, sir.
Point of clarity, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Johnson, you
As
have
the
the floor.
petitioner come forward, just want to get a point of clarity. This is an existing store? Is this store already been open? How long has it been open? Or is this a new store?
No, this is an existing store.
Existing store.
Yes, sir. And this is just the new owner has to obtain his own license.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, sir, for the record, please state your name and address.
My name is Kamal Kumar. My address is 117 Preakness Drive, Evans, Georgia, 30809.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything additional you'd like to add?
This is the older one liquor store, not the new one. It has been since 30, 40 years before liquor store. But we are the new tenant only.
All right, thank you, sir. Colleagues, is there a motion to approve this item?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? There is a second. All right, Madam Clerk, we're seeing no other colleagues in queue for discussion. Let's vote.
Mr. Franham?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. That motion carries.
Last is AN 24-29. This is a new location, consumption on premise for liquor, beer, and wine. The applicant is Michael Shepis for the Red Lion Bar and Grill to be located at 1936 Walton Way. The Planning and Development Department and Sheriff's Department has recommended approval. Are there any objectors?
Are there any objectives to this item? Seeing none, noted. Let's
And the
continue.
applicant's here.
All right. Hello, sir. If you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
Michael Shepis, 2337 Kingsway, Augusta, Georgia, 30904.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Johnson, I see you dropped out, but Commissioner Lewis is in. Commissioner Lewis, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I see number 4, the reading on 4, on 5, and I see a duplicate on 5, so we just add 2 concurrent. On the back of mine, it has 5 here, so this is the same business, right?
So
Mr. Kepner.
So 4 and 5, sir, for clarification, can you make sure they're duplicates?
24, 29, yes.
5 and 5. Okay.
Yes.
All right, there's a motion to approve, and there's a
Let me see if
second.
Mr. Kemper, did you understand what he was asking you, sir?
I'm not sure that I do. They are 2 separate applications.
Oh, they are?
Yes, the 28 is for a retail package for liquor, beer, and wine. 29 is consumption on premise for liquor.
It's just 2 numbers. It's 2 5s.
It's 2 5s.
And a 5 here, so it's a duplicate.
Oh, that's it. Oh, I don't have that on mine.
So yes, it's a
Okay.
So that would be, yes, that would be a duplicate. I'm sorry. I don't have.
All right. Madam Clerk, there's a motion and a second. We've got that clarification that it is a duplicate. We're voting.
Mr. Franham?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. That motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Takes us to item number 7, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Number 7.
Okay. Item number 7 is a motion to approve the RFQ award of the RFQ 24-142, 2024 zoning ordinance update to White and Smith LLC pending execution of contract.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Director Delaney, you have the floor, ma'am.
Good afternoon. So, as you all know, the Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, Historic Preservation, several of the activities that take place within the county reference our ordinances. Our zoning ordinance creating one of the primary foundations for how we make decisions and recommendations. So with that being said, our ordinance as a whole hasn't been updated in about 20 plus years. This is an opportunity for us to not piecemeal those updates. It will help with addressing some of the challenges and concerns we have around parking, accessory dwelling units, density, and things of that nature are going to be proposed. There will also be a series of public engagement and focus groups meetings with the businesses, the home builders associations, and several other community members.
All right, thank you.
Answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Lane. Chair recognizes Commissioner Guilfoyle from the 10th.
Thank you. Mr. Laney, as far as this ordinance bringing it up to date, and you said it ain't been changed in 20 years. Melody Wilson, the former director, when we got Cyber Command in, a lot of changes was made in our ordinance, I believe it was, especially running around the perimeter of Fort Gordon. Is this something that we could do in-house?
No, sir. And it was a piecemeal. That's why I was saying the ordinance as a whole needs to be updated at one time instead of coming back with this particular issue, that particular issue. We still have pyramid zoning in our ordinance. And from a best management practices, pyramid zoning goes all the way back to the 50s, 1950s. So the update was not that was conducted did not bring us current with current standards. And no, we could not do this in-house. We especially now with a very litigious society that we live in, having someone at the table who are attorneys who are helping to craft this document so that they can anticipate some of the legal challenges that we may face as bills are passed outside of our local jurisdiction that will impact development. That's going to be key to have that at the table when we craft this document. Staff will still be the lead on it, of course.
Mr. Laney, thank you for that explanation. Motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion and a second from Commissioner McKnight from the 3rd. Commissioner Garrett, you have the floor.
Thank you. I know that there's already a motion to approve this, but just wanted to ask some further questions in regards to having an outside source writing our zoning ordinance. Is that typical practice among governments? I mean, I'm just trying to understand why there's, I think Commissioner Guilfoyle was asking why we couldn't do it in-house. Is there just a reason behind that?
From a best management practices standpoint, a government of this size should not be leaning on the staff to be able to manage the standard regulatory requirements of zoning, HPC, all of the things that we do, signs, business license approvals, and then you add on top of this the requirement to have all of them be current and knowledgeable of all of the new legal processes and the legal impact of all land development for the state and the region, and to capture that in their document on top of their regular workload. That is not something that that is standard to ask that for a municipality of this size.
So will the Planning Commission be walking along with this process as it goes along?
Yes, the Planning Commission is one of the main focus groups. We would call them the steering committee for a reference sake. Yes. And the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Just one of these things where oftentimes when we look at outside entities writing language for policies and ordinances, I've seen pushback on other issues. So I'm just curious on this one of how this one's going to fall. But thank you for the question.
There's another question. What is pyramid zoning?
Pyramid zoning, that is essentially where, and anyone who's looked in the ordinance lately, you'll see when you go to, say, for instance, multifamily housing, instead of listing that criteria, it'll refer you to the previous zone and then the previous zone, but it never gives you like those numbers. That doesn't delineate what each zoning ordinance zoning classification requires. It just refers you back to the one before and the one before, and it actually says that. So if you're in R3C and you want to know what those setback requirements are, it's going to say, look at Section 8, instead of saying, look at Section 8, plus this, plus this, plus this. So we would go to like a use table that would make the document more user-friendly. And I can assure you, it is standard practice for an organization of our size to employ a third party to write this ordinance so that we can continue to attract. We want top-notch businesses. We're bringing in out-of-town developers, and they are expecting us to have an ordinance that keeps pace with the type of development, including things such as how we design, engineer some of our buildings, some of our site development. So there is a need for this, yes.
Thank you, Director. All right, there's been a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, we're prepared to vote.
Commissioner Franham?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
Takes us to item 17.
Actually, there's 9.
Sir, where do we
Yeah,
have?
9. Commissioner Johnson had the 9 be taken off.
Oh, he did.
Yes.
Removed, yes. Item 9, receive as information the emergency request for the repairs of several HVAC units located at the municipal building in the amount of $49,605 by Train Company.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Interim Director. Well, Commissioner, are you up?
I just want to hear what's going on
Yeah,
here.
all right. Interim Director, you have the floor, sir.
Yes. So these units are our smaller units that heat and cool our floors. And what we have replaced, we've had 16 blower motors to go out, 3 valve actuators, and 3 ECM modules, and we've also had to replace a UC 600 unit controller. So all those things add up to that total amount. You see $49,605 for the replacement of those issues. I know a question may arise, was it this covered in the train project? I guess that's what the question is. And the answer to that is no. In the train project for this building, we replaced 2 chillers and repaired our cooling tower and did our lighting and building installation. So this is outside of the project, basically.
Okay, all right.
All right, Commissioner Johnson, you good? All right, Chair recognizes Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Thank you for answering that, because that was going to also be my question. It's unfortunate this wasn't included in that project. Hopefully, if we ever look at a project like that again, that we'll be a little more mindful of these types of things. Motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion. This is received as information, right?
Yes.
All right. All right. There's been a motion and a second. Let's vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Franham?
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. Ms. Garrett? That motion carries. I guess we're now down to 17.
17.
Approved landscape maintenance agreement for water plants. The term of the award is to begin at the notice of award and will expire on 5/1/25.
Thank you so much, Director. You want to? All right, Chair recognizes Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Thank you. I know, read through this, see that's a year-long contract that's already pretty much in place, correct? The only question that I had here is around the discussions we had even as recently as last week around maintenance and things at our facilities. With this contract being a year-long contract, is there a language in this contract that if all of these duties were moved under one department, is there a cancellation clause there in order to help us to reconfigure if that happens?
I don't know the answer to that just yet. Typically, they have a 30 or 90-day cancellation clause in them, but I haven't read through this specific. This is the boilerplate contract language for the city. I can find that answer for you. We just proceeded forward because there are a number of issues that need to be dealt with at the plants, and obviously keeping the grounds up. We also have some bushes to replace, things like that. But certainly, as we discussed, if it was in the commission's interest to consolidate those items, we would be willing to have that conversation and make sure we were part of it.
And I don't mind waiting, just
Well,
for clarity on.
It would take just a second. He's got his legal counsel coming up to assist with it. The Director Bynes, in the past, has this always been contracted out, or traditionally has it been done by city staff? Is this something new, or has it all?
The maintenance contract has been done outside, is that what you're asking, sir? I'm sorry. Flipping pages right here.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it's 90 days.
Okay.
For convenience of the city. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion and there's a second. Madam Clerk, we're voting on another grass cutting contract. Let's vote on it. That's the truth.
Thank you.
Mr. Franham?
Yes, ma'am, I approve.
Okay. That motion carries.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Scott? Knight?
Still voting.
Item number 23 is a motion to approve funding of operating capital and encumbrance.
Wait, it's 19. We got 19, right?
You want to announce the vote?
Yeah.
I said it passed. I thought I did. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Motion carried again.
I think we had 19, Madam
Okay.
Clerk.
I beg your pardon,
We're
sir?
at 19.
Oh, approved deed of dedication and maintenance agreements and road resolutions submitted by engineering and the Augusta Utilities Department for Captain's Corner Phase 1.
All right. I see Director Malik coming to the podium. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon. This is standard agenda item for acceptance of road, water, sewer, and drainage system for the public subdivision. So this is phase 1 of that subdivision.
All right, any questions, colleagues? Chair recognizes Commissioner Francine Scott from the 9th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a new subdivision that's coming on?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, this is the new one. It's on the county line from East Robertson Avenue, the Grovetown part of the Richmond County. Is way out near Gate 6.
Any other questions, colleagues? Is there a motion to approve this item? Is a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, I heard Commissioner McKnight from the 3rd first. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
Mr. Franham?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That motion carries.
All right, Madam Clerk, I think that takes us to 23.
Motion to approve funding of operating capital and encumbrance carryovers.
Good day, Director Williams.
Hi, good afternoon. As you're aware, in our policy, obligations end at the end of the year for operational encumbrances. So as a matter of practice, these are brought forward, especially the large ones, to come forward to you for approval for carryover from one budget year to the other. We have attached a listing of those and show you the funds that are affected, and the funds are available. It's just simply a matter of carrying forward the budget from one year to the next to meet outstanding obligations. There's a list in your packet that would show the effect and what the items are. Be happy to answer any questions.
All right, colleagues, are there any questions? All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank
I'm
you.
mighty quiet today. All right, we got a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, let's vote.
Mr. Franham?
Yes, ma'am, I'm good.
That motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am. Number 24.
Item 24 is approve a resolution authorizing the issuance of $80 million in bond and the refinancing of the Water and Sewer Bond Series 2012 for water and sewer capital projects.
All right. The Director Williams, is that you as well?
Yes, sir.
All right. You have the
Yes,
floor.
sir. It's a whole team of us, actually, including Courtney Rogers here, our financial advisor from Davenport, Wes's group from Utilities, and Tim Schreier, who did an awful lot of the heavy lifting to get this project done. We sold bonds this morning at 10:30. We had a very competitive process. There were 9 highly qualified bids, and I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder. So Courtney has some information that he would like to share with you guys.
Courtney.
Yes, sir, Mayor. Good afternoon, members of the commission. Good to see you all again. As Ms. Williams mentioned, we had some really good bids this morning. And we're going to
Courtney,
run
can
through.
you just state your full name for the record so we have it, sir?
It's Courtney Rogers with Davenport and Company as
Thank you,
financial
sir.
advisor to Augusta.
Thank you.
So what I want to give you just a little bit of overview. We did have to go through the rating process. And as you all know, we went through the rating process recently for the convention center project. This rating, though, is just for the utilities. They were affirmed at the current ratings of A1 and A+, which you can see is there in the strong category. And just to give you a little bit of feedback from what we heard from Moody's, what they said as far as credit strengths was the strong record of setting rates. They talked about the economy being with Fort Eisenhower, the National Security Agency in town, as well as Augusta University, having economic stability for the area. And some of the challenges is our debt service coverage is below average, and liquidity ratio is also below average, but looking to improve over the next several years. And so one of the things that they looked at as possibilities for an upgrade would be if we could get our debt service coverage, and that is defined as revenues after operations. What's the number of revenues available for debt service? So if that coverage ratio could be over 1.7 over a sustained period, that could lead to an upgrade. Alternatively, what could lead to a downgrade would be if we fall below 1.3 times. And just so the commission understands, dollars that are excess of that number basically are going to fall back into the capital plan. So we want to see coverage be at a reasonable level, because that keeps us from having to come back to the borrowing market. Those of you may remember we did a refinancing of bonds in 2017. That's the last time utilities has actually been to the bond market. We saved about $35 million that day, but we structured it so that those savings were up front, so we didn't have to go borrow more money. We used those savings to basically continue maintenance and adding new things for the system and keeping the system in place. So that coverage basically maintains that. This bond issuance of $80 million will help also take care of some of the needed infrastructure. That's just part of keeping up a system of this size. S&P said similar things in terms of their opinion, in terms of the statistical area being very broad and diverse, having higher than average unemployment, and so they recognize some of the great things that are going on in the area. So as Ms. Williams mentioned, you can see we had 9 bidders. Those are some of the largest banks on Wall Street. Mizro Financial out of Chicago was the winning bid. You'll notice that it's to the second decimal place, 3.95 was the winning TIC with a 3964, almost a tie there in second, out to the fourth decimal place to break the tie. So we had some very, very competitive bids. And so part of that today, we did $80 million of new money, but we also had some refinancings. We refinanced some of the 2012 bonds, about $58 million worth, and we saved a little over $5 million. Part of that was freeing up some reserves, but almost $3 million of that was actual savings, basically lowering the interest rate. So we were able to save some money through our actions today. So at this point, we're asking the commission to approve our pricing results today. We will work toward closing on July 18th,
At that point, utilities will have the funds available to continue their capital improvements. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Chair recognizes Commissioner Garrett from the 8th.
Thank you. I'm not sure if you can answer this question. This question is probably more in line with Wes. With this $80 million, what projects are we looking at being able to address or complete, just so we as the elected body can?
Okay, it's about 20 million at Messerly, 20 million on the canal, 20 million split into water and sewer projects, water line replacements and upgrades in the areas where we've been having a lot of breaks, replacing a lot of transite mains, 20 million to support additional treatment at Messerly to support the additional industries that are coming in, given our current permitting and regulatory requirements, 20 million at the canal to bolster our raw water supply and to help support the FERC licensure. And y'all saw that last week with the failure of the big main at the canal. Fortunately, due to the previous capital monies that were spent out there, we were able to fully function and operate less than 24 hours later. And this has continued improvements along the canal in order to continue that operation, which saves us about $6 million annually for fuel costs alone. And 20 million in sewer I&I reduction to try to help areas where we get excessive rainfall into the sewer system in order to make sure we get as much of that out as we can, improve our treatment capacities, and improve public health.
And so out of that, you mentioned sewer a few times. Is there any sewer expansion on the south side?
Not specifically in this one. We're looking to identify areas, and I'll come back shortly with a proposal for, I already have done the one for sewering the Little Spirit Creek Basin, but to support additional industrial expansion throughout the area as well as residential expansion. I'll have a more comprehensive plan for that shortly.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
I'll second. I was going to motion.
All right, there's a second. Commissioner Francine. All right, there's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
Mr. Franham?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That motion carries.
Hey, thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's continue. Next item.
I think we're done.
Takes us 25.
25. Remove.
All right, is there someone from the Sheriff's Department here? Yes. Here we go.
Mr. Johnson, you had asked for that to be removed, okay. 25 is a motion to approve bid item 24-189, disposable of forfeit or abandoned firearms for the Sheriff's Office to Century Arms in the amount of $267,518.
Hey, ma'am, how are you?
I'm good, sir.
Yeah, if you will, for the record, please state your name, please.
Sheila White.
You're at the Richmond County Sheriff's Office.
I'm from the Sheriff's Office,
Right.
yes.
All right, Commissioner Johnson, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. Captain White, thank you for joining us today. Just wanted to give you an opportunity to share what you're doing here, because I understand that there's been some ongoing efforts to kind of clean our streets from guns being in the wrong hands. And so I thought this was a good opportunity for you all to highlight what you're doing and not just, consent it without giving you that opportunity.
Well, this purpose of this is to have guns that we have on hand right now that have reached the retention periods, have been adjudicated in court, and have been forfeited on the narcotics end. So with that, all those efforts being made and the criteria has been met, this is where these guns have come into play to be sold.
And the 267, that's revenue for the Sheriff's Office, correct?
Correct.
And are there any other ongoing efforts around this line to again just kind of get rid of these guns that we're confiscating and that we're finding that's being committed in the heat of the crime?
We are currently assessing all of those guns that are on hand right now, but of course we have to reach those retention periods and criteria for the state of Georgia.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to give you that opportunity to kind of toot your own horn today, and thank you for being proactive. Okay. Motion to approve.
Thank you.
All right, man. There's a motion in a second. Captain, how many guns does this represent that are being removed from our community? How many? Do you have a number? How many firearms is it?
How many guns that were sold at this sale?
Yes, ma'am.
1,735 guns.
Wow. 1,735 guns. So that's amazing.
May I ask a follow-up question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir, you may.
Have we seen this number increase over the last few years? Like, what increase have you seen of just gun violence as far as firearms being confiscated and things like that is concerned in Richmond County? Have you seen the trends go up, or are they kind of going down?
They're going up on a consistent basis. We're taking in guns practically every day.
Okay. All right.
All right.
And again, I just really do appreciate you for being proactive in this.
Okay, thank you.
There's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, seeing no other colleagues in the queue, we're voting.
Ms. Franham?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am. As I understand, I heard a colleague has to go to a funeral, and Commissioner Franham's on the phone, so we still have a quorum. All right, let's continue. Number 28.
Looks like we may be done.
No, it's 28.
28.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. What you have before you is the actual citywide information technology standard operating procedures. These procedures have been in place for nearly 20 years. However, of course, this is and always will be a living document because of the respective changes in the technology arena. We have made substantial changes to update this policy, and we've also had the discussion with our law department to review and approve the respective changes to make sure we were in compliance legally. And of course, we made sure everything was compliant in industry standard. So we're just asking that this body approve it and receive it as information.
All right, are there any questions from this Commissioner Brandon Garrett?
Thank you. I appreciate the work you put into this and getting this in front of us. I know that policies and procedures have been something that we as a body have been asking for from all of our departments, and I know that that's something that's ongoing. In regard to the changes that you've made, can you highlight some of those?
Some of them are more so in regards to our cybersecurity awareness training. We're making sure that is something we're getting ready to actually kick off our campaign July 1st to make sure that all employees have taken the cybersecurity awareness training. Right now, it's, some people can opt out of it a little while or delay it some, but we're going to make sure that they know that it is important that they take it and they have a certain period of time to actually take it. We've already looked at that. We've also, such as our logins and various things of that nature to streamline the security processes and security protocols have been actually added to it as well.
Well, thank you, and I'll make the motion to approve this.
All right, there's a motion and a second from Commissioner from the 10th. Seeing no other colleagues in the queue, Madam Clerk, we're voting.
Mr. Franham?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner McKnight, I see you in the queue, madam. Are you in the queue for something?
Yes, I was just going to wish everybody a happy July 4th week and be safe.
Happy July 4th week, and I'm going to use a point of personal privilege. I see my uncle sitting out there, and he's a retired Augusta employee. You come to put in an application and come back to work, Horace Dunbar? Okay, all right. Thank you for being here, sir. Yeah. Madam Clerk, I think that concludes our business. Does it? If so, this meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you guys for being here. Have a safe holiday.
All right.